As I get older, I don't tend to have very much use for a lot of things. My tolerance level just seems to get lower and lower and lower and lower and then lower, to the point where, you've had just about enough of the garbage. And, I reached that stage, I would say probably, a long time ago, or at least so it seems. And so, I tend to be a bit more of a hothead when it comes to, certain specific things. And, you can understand why, you know, because, there's just so much an individual can officially take before they reach their final stage of breaking point. You know, I mean, much like a parent that you know reaches the end stage of getting tired of a child's antics. Well, when it comes to the medical profession, I reached my wits end with the medical profession. And I know YouTube may take this video down and say, well, you're anti science and med, and you don't believe in doctors and all this other stuff. And you're right, I don't believe in doctors and science and all this other med, quote unquote, stuff. And it's because I don't believe in it, and because of the things that I do know, that the equivalency of science and of doctors is to take the biggest amount of pile of crap, basically, throw it against the wall, see what sticks. And they're determined that they're going to find something that is going to ultimately, well, stick. And they don't stop the hounding until they get what they ultimately want. They can't leave it alone. Yeah. Now, you may think, well, but don't you want them to find something so that they can then go out and go treat it? Well, okay, that leaves the $64,000 question. Are they really treating it, or are they just playing with the symptom? You know? Are they just playing with the symptom? Now, see, if they're just playing with the symptom and masking the symptom, they're really not helping you as an individual. They're not giving you the best, quote unquote, outlook or outcome of something that might potentially be wrong. No, I'm not saying that you have to be naive and dumb and say, well, there's nothing wrong. I mean, the likelihood maybe slight, just slight. But do we really need to make mountains out of molehills? That's the real question that I want to pose to everybody today. Do we really need to make a mountain out of a molehill? And I believe that the answer to that is no. We don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill. We don't need to over exacerbate a situation that really isn't, worth over exacerbating. I mean, if you have a small cut on your hand, and it's not infected, it's not pussing or bleeding, or you don't have the symptoms of anything, right? You don't have any of the symptoms, you don't have any of the classic symptoms. Then here's what I say. Why would you worry your doctor? And it doesn't matter who you're talking about as far as your doctor is concerned. Why would you overly concern them with something that they're going to over exacerbate? Now it doesn't mean that they always over exacerbate, because sometimes they are a little, well, to their credit, they can be a little level-headed when they want to be. When they really want to be level-headed, they can be level-headed. But there are those times when you have to look at them, and you have to kind of look at them like you have 10 heads, and what are those 10 heads thinking? I mean, if they say, go home, put Neosporin on it, put this on it, da 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 da, and they tell you what to put on it, right? And you're fine by that, okay? No, you're fine. Now, it's when they say, the opposite of that, and then you start losing your mind because you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, whoa, 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 hold it, whoa, time out. There's no reason for it to be, that, that desperate. Put it that way. It doesn't need to be that desperate. Well, we really just want to know what it is, right? That's always the $64,000 question. Well, we just want to know what it is. Well, why do you have to sit in an emergency room 10, 12 hours, and wait for them to get off their ass, basically, come get you, do what they got to officially go do, right? And then give you the end result. It's like, hey, call him with the result, call her with the result, whatever. Don't call me. call my lawyer, call Phil Rizzuto, call whomever, you know, call whomever. But right now, I'm headed back to where I need to be. You know, you've basically wasted my time. Is what you've done. You've wasted my time. I've got things to do. I got places to go. Basically, I need to be, on my quote unquote A game. You know, I can't be tied up in all that stuff. You know, and you can't, and the bigger thing, the bigger picture is that there are birds, and I'm going to use this analogy that there are birds that are too big for their cages. They're not going to just sit there and be light and easy about it. Again, while you sit there and you ultimately take your time to get your ass over here. Why should I spend 3 4 days waiting for you when we can look at this, we can look right here, boom, we're done, you know and that's the end of it. But even I mean, even nurses, they get in on this act, you know and before, I mean, and don't get me wrong, you know there was a point in time when yeah, I liked certain set nurses, you know we got along on a good even keel basis, you know but when you start hounding and you start you know putting that in, then you start taking what is my good side, and you're going to start seeing my bad side. You're going to start seeing the side of me that says, I don't have very much tolerance for this crap, basically. you know you just need to, what's the word, relax. you know if it was something that I felt that needed to be quote unquote seen, I would have said something. If I felt there was something that was worthy of being quote unquote seen. See, and I know this just sounds like a lot of run around and excuses, but it's really not. You know, See, I don't put you know a whole ton of you know stock in or faith in worrying about your health. You know, I mean, you don't have, I mean, put it this way. Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. You know, as far as time is concerned, time, you know, you don't have time to worry about yourself. You don't have time to think about yourself, because you're always constantly on the move, you know, and there are bigger and better battlefields out there that need to be explored. Things that really need to be quote unquote addressed. And worrying about, this or that or the other little thing, that's taking the focus and the attention away from what the real purpose is. Because you can't think about yourself and other people at the same time. You just can't do it. You know, either you're going to spend all the days of your life worrying about yourself and worrying about, this, that, and the other thing, or you're going to give yourself basically up and say, wait a minute, it's not about me. You know, I'm taking me out of the equation. And by taking me out of the equation, that means that I've got time that I can do the other little things in life that I need to go do. And somebody might come along and say, yeah, but you're this, that. And no, no, no. I can still do things. I can still do things. It's not stopping me. Okay, it's not it's not the bullet that penetrates. You know what I mean? It's not the bullet that penetrates. You're not you're not being shot by the cop killer bullet through the Kevlar vest. Now, I know a lot of people say, "Well, you are because blah 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 blah." No. Do you see me? Do you see me on the ground wincing in pain? Do you see me crying? Do you see me, worrying about it? No. Are you saying you're some kind of a Superman? No. I'm just saying that, you're still moving your feet forward. You're doing what, you're supposed to be doing in life. Even if it means anything beyond that, you're still doing the job, you're doing the work. And by doing the job and doing the work, you're being, how can I put it, effective. Again, it's not something that I'm saying, you should be proud of and pat yourself on the back for. No, no, no. I'm just saying that, this is the emphasis of what we need to focus in on. We need to focus in more on the battlefield ground that is out there and available to everybody. Now, I'm not one to sit back and preach, but I think of you know I think of Revelation when it talks about, that the wheat needs to be harvested, but the laborers are few. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that, the harvest, the harvesting of the wheat, which is the people, is ripe to get out there and to do the work. But the laborers, the people who don't, who are supposed to do the job, are the ones that are not doing the job. They're focused on their family, they're focused on themselves, they're focused on their job. You know, they're worried about, where's the next check gonna come from? How are we gonna pay the bills? Well, what if I get sick? How am I gonna pay for medical insurance? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, if I get sick, I can't pay for medical insurance and I can't see the doctor and blah, 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 blah. Look, you may not believe that, there are people out there who have the ability to lay hands and pray and, put, put healing over your body. And they can. And it does happen. Yes, it does happen. And I mean, you can even go to, how can I say it? You could even go to a naturopathic doctor, or you can look up home remedies. And you can receive your healing that way. You know, you don't have to rely upon the medical profession and big pharma to do all the dirty work for you. And again, we come back to it. We say, well, what are they really pumping into your stomach? What are they really giving you? They're giving you antibiotics, they're giving you this, and they're giving you that, and they're giving you that. And what they're not telling you is they're not telling you about any of the other effects that these things have on you. Again, it's the crap that gets heaved against that wall, and before you know it, you know something must have stuck, because look at what they're doing to you. Now they're pumping more garbage into you. They're always, have you ever noticed that they change their minds about your medications? Did you ever figure that out yet? they put you on this medication and they say, okay, well, all right, we're going to start you on this medication now, right? And then you go back to the doctor and, they look at you and they say, well, yeah, we're not convinced that it really is working. So what we can do for you what we can do for you is we can bump your medication. You say, what do you mean, bump my medication? Well, we can bump up your medication. And you say, all right, what are you going to bump it up to? Well, we were thinking about switching you from this product to that product. And, we're going to go up 25 doses on the next, on the next medication. And you say, I'm not really feeling it. Not really feeling it, doc. I'm not really feeling it. Well, we think it's the best alternative plan for you. And everything again is, we're looking out for your best interest, right? Because after all, the quote unquote quality of life means something to them. Well, truth of the matter is that, again, the quality of your life doesn't mean spit to them. It's a hoax, it's a gag, it's a running gag. It really is. It's a running gag. You say, well, how so? Well, you're only as good as your experimentation level allows them to be. Meaning, how good of a guinea pig are you? How willing are you to listen to what they say? Take their advice. Take their medication. Take their vaccines and their shots. Now think about that for a moment. Now see, if you're healthy, and this is where this is where they screw up and they don't realize that, people like myself who are, awake and no, don't wear tinfoil hats on top of my head, but know the drill good enough that, when you're being, pardon the pun, bullshitted. Did you ever have a moment in the office where they say to you, I want to see you in the ER? All right. Now, here's the deal. You're not sick, right? You don't exhibit fever, chills, nausea, redness, swelling, pus, any kind of drainage, right? This is what you don't, and again, this is what you don't exhibit, okay? But they say, "Oh, well, but I want to see you," right? Now, see, where they screw up in my book is, you know, that being well is now the new sickness. That's ultimately what it comes right down to. Being well is the new sickness. When you don't exhibit, the symptomatic things that are associated with this certain thing, right? But they say you're sick. Well, wait a minute now. Hold on. Now, see, being sick used to be that you exhibited one and or more symptoms, right, than, you know, some of the other symptoms. And that's how you truly knew that you were 100% sick as a dog. Like, hey, I'll use myself as a guinea pig. Now, you know, I had I had what they call the gas gangrene on the side of my foot. Okay. Now, you know, how did they know it was gas gangrene? Well, they tested it, right? They tested it. So they knew what it was, right? Now, on top of the fact that, you had these bubbles that were oozing out this goopy, you know, bleh type of crap, right? You had other exhibited symptoms. You would have dry heaves. You might have a headache. You would have a fever, right? So you would exhibit more than one of these types of problems that, just again, you know, blow up out of massive control, right? So now you know that, oh well, hey, geez, duh. Wait a minute. Let me think. Hold on. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to. Looks like I'm gonna have to go and get that get that looked at and or taken care of. And you say, all right. But see, I didn't do that. So, it took me literally passing out, while doing an errand, right? It took me passing out in order for them to call an ambulance, get you into the hospital, get you looked at, right? Get you all looked at, x-rayed up, told what it was, told what they had to go do to it, and then, go from there. Now the end result, you know, again was a loss of 5 toes, and you split the side of the foot open, and drain it all out. And that's, you know, so you wake up, basically, they have a half a foot, and it's all wrapped up, all nice and wrapped, right? And you go through the rigmarole of different ways of getting it to heal up. Now, see, my point here is that when you exhibit symptoms, when you exhibit symptoms of specific things, right? When you exhibit certain specific classic symptoms of you know this, that, and the other thing, then I can see somebody saying, okay, you're sick. You're sick as a dog. But when you exhibit no symptoms and you overly exacerbate a problem and make it sound like you still have a symptomatic problem, then I have a problem. This is why, I like my interaction with people that I see. I like to keep certain people, what's the word, at a distance. If I see them every 4 months, fine by me. Make it a year. Let's make it 2 years. You know what I mean? If we can see each other every 2 years, I'm fine. I'm absolutely, positively, 100% fine. You know, because you can go peddle that crap somewhere other than at my doorstep. Because you see, folks, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. And maybe, maybe I haven't been, maybe I haven't been blunt enough. Okay. Maybe I haven't been blunt enough right now. With the, with the likes of them. You know, maybe I haven't, you know, played my best card and put it forward and laid it on the line and let it be known. And maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to lay it all on the line with them and let them know where it all stands, basically. Because you see, it's not about you dictating to me about this, that, and the other thing. It's I will address you when I feel the time is right to address you. Now, it doesn't mean that, again, I'm saying I'm not going to be cordial, nice. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be very cordial and nice to them. That is the complete opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying that, you know, our conversations are not going to overlap into the Twilight Zone, because I'm not going to allow it to fall into the Twilight Zone. Because that's when it all spirals out of control. That is when it all, you know, just tumbles around and never reaches the bottom. It's like the story in the movie, Twister, about, you know Bill, who wandered up, to this tornado, and he says, "Here, take a drink," and he threw the bottle into the Twister, and it never touched the ground. Well, you know, that's ultimately what I'm saying here, is that, it is, you know, we're not going to, you know, jump headfirst into the Twister, and, we're not going to get anywhere near the Twister, and nothing is ever going to have to hit the ground. What it's going to, it's just going to be a very nice, smooth sailing ship on the sea that is going, you know, to go out for a nice day cruise. And we'll kick back and we'll knock back a couple of cold ones and we'll watch the sunset. And, maybe we'll have a little, you know, dinner on the boat, and then, we'll sail into the sea. We'll sail into the port. I think that's a good way to, you know, handle your interaction with these people, because again, if you let it get out of control, if you let it get out of control, you're going to be on a turbulent sea, and you're not going to like it. I'm not saying you can always avoid, turbulent water, but I'm just saying that, if if you can steer the Titanic away from the iceberg, yeah, yeah, that's a pretty good thing, because now you're saving the ship from sinking. You know, don't let somebody come along and commandeer the ship and drive the ship into the you know into the iceberg. Again, dictate what you want, not what they want, what you want, what you feel is the best. You know, you don't always have to agree with them, even though they want to argue and tell you that they're all right. You know, because they do. They want to tell you that they're right. But you don't want to argue with them. You don't want to, you don't want to, you just don't want to argue with them anymore. You're tired of arguing with them. You know, if they want to, they want to be a bunch of old hens that are fussing, then you know what? Let them be the hens that fuss. You know, you don't have to associate yourself with that crap. You really don't. You don't have to, put yourself in the middle of that mess. And they're going to push your buttons. Don't get me wrong. They're going to push your buttons. They're going to get you mad. They're going to get you to finally, quote unquote, blow up. but just simply make it very well known that, again, you know, you don't feel like, it's anything mega mondo important, that, again, it's not something that, I need to overly concern myself with. It's not something you need to overly concern yourself with. It's not something your doctor needs to overly concern himself with, unless, again, it is to the point where, yes, it is something that should be looked at. And again, if you're exhibiting, symptoms, I keep coming back to it. It's so easy to keep saying it, but if you're exhibiting symptoms, then yeah, I would say sure, yes, go get it looked at, go have it checked. But when you're not feeling, when you're not feeling any of those symptoms, and it's not really doing anything crazy, what's the purpose of anybody seeing it? See, that's what they can never get through their head, because again, they're programmed to believe that, well, you should have it looked at. You should have that looked at, right? You know, because they look at you and they say, oh well, based on their history, this and blah 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 blah, da 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 da, and then and it's like, well, okay, well, we don't have to worry about any of that. That we don't have to worry about. That's been dealt with. That's done. You know, and again, we're not dealing with any of those symptoms that I talked about. So what are we talking about here? You know, there's not one viable good excuse of a reason for anything else. Well, in case he doesn't want anything done to it. Well, what's he going to say? Normally, stuff like that, he looks at that and he says, "Put Neosporin on it. Do this, da 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 da." You know. So I mean, look, folks. You know, it's been a while here since I've ranted and raved. You know, but basically, at the end of the day, folks, take control. Stop fussing and worrying about the stupid things. That's my point to you here, is stop worrying about the stupid things. You may say, well, it's not that stupid. Well, if you're, how can I put it? If you're giving it more attention than it really should be, yeah, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. You've made your, when you state the unequivocal facts, the discussion in my book ends right then and there. And again, you're not going to be dictated to and told when and who and why and all the other things about, this, that, and the other thing. You know, Conversation's done, forget it, wipe it off the map. That's it. We're done. We're not talking about it now. You know, we are done. We are done talking. We will not bring it up. We will not, we will not have a discussion about this. Not going to discuss it. Move on. Nothing to see here. You can go home and you can pace back and forth and think about it all night long and all that other stuff. Okay? But at the end of the day, don't bring it here, man. Don't bring it here. Keep your negative bullshit out there. It's where it belongs. It don't cross that barrier. And it's not going to cross that barrier. It's not silly superstition. It's not paranoia. It's not anything like that. It's just that, don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Because contrary to what you may believe, curses can easily be spoken onto people just by making a pronouncement over them. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I say to you. Be careful what you say, because it might come back to bite you in the ass when you least expect.